Hello, it's Brad Laurie, or Blockchain Brad, and today on behalf of BlockVera, it's my honor to speak with none other than Caleb Yeoh. He is the founder of TravelbyBit, and he's here to explain exactly how people can spend not only Bitcoin but others, and most importantly support the idea of currencies utilizing blockchain technology. So Caleb, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, mate. Now, as I said, a bit of a mouthful before, but your company essentially stands for Traveling the World. All about travel, obviously, and getting rewarded in Bitcoin specifically. I've talked to you at length before, mate. You're a huge proponent of Bitcoin. So tell us in a nutshell what TravelbyBit's about and why you're so passionate about Bitcoin particularly.
Well, TravelbyBit's trying to drive adoption in the cryptocurrency space, right? I mean, there's been a lot of speculation, which is fine. But my interest in the Bitcoin space is really about promoting adoption and awareness. And one of the ways that I would like to do it is to combine it with my passion for travel. So Bitcoin's, the world's first truly global currency, in the sense that it can be transferred across borders without any friction with the banks. And I think travel would be a really good use case if we could show that cryptocurrency can help reduce some of the exchange risk and maybe even the fraud risk when it comes to international payments.
Right, and mate, I can hear that Aussie accent coming through. And obviously for those who are wondering, this is entirely free. Caleb's not paying me anyway. I just, being a fellow Aussie as well, I really wanted to support the idea of travel and utilising the blockchain in such a way that it has some semblance of utility and currency value. So mate, tell us a bit about where you're based as well, given that we can hear that Aussie accent.
Well, I originate from Malaysia. But I've been in Australia for a little bit. So our team is based here in Brisbane, Australia, right near the Great Barrier Reef. So Brisbane and Queensland's a very tourist focused, state. And that's why a lot of tourism businesses are built out of here. Flight Centre, as you know, is also built out of Queensland. Yeah.
Right. And mate, I've noticed also there's other crypto colleagues in Australia also supporting you in your endeavour. Can you tell us a bit more about just how the word is spreading, whether or not there's significant network effects as well for this vision you have of increasing travel in a new way?
Look, we work very closely with the community. Maybe I should talk a little bit about the different products that we have. So one of the things that we do is a point of sale system where we enable any small business to accept payments in digital currencies and to reach out to a different, crowd of users. And we provide this platform for free to small businesses. And we roll this out through the local community. I mean, if you knew anyone who wanted to accept payments in Bitcoin and who wanted a simplified accounting system built behind it, a simplified hedging system so that they don't have to wear some of the risk or volatility of cryptocurrencies. We provide that technology for free. So we work with Living Room or Satoshi very closely with this, and we roll it out to the community. So I'll give a shout out to Where to Spend in Crypto. The girls in Perth are working with us. Nuggets News is working with us down in Tasmania. There's some of the Bitcoin guys, Stephen Libera and whatnot, in Sydney are working with us, and they introduce the point of sale system, and they support meetups around places that accept payments in Bitcoin using our point of sale system.
I see. And obviously there are other chains out there trying to advocate for the expenditure of certain currencies and obviously really argue for the uptake of a new means of currency utilizing the technology of blockchain. But once again, you really do focus a lot on Bitcoin as technology for the future. Can you tell us a bit about the relationship between Binance and also Bitcoin in this sense, because obviously you are very much centered around advocating for the use and uptake of Bitcoin. But what about Binance and BNB? Okay.
So we took investment from Binance directly. So we have some of the key Binance personnel sitting on our board of directors. So they they help set the direction and guidance for TravelbyBit in terms of trying to promote adoption. We're very closely aligned with their ecosystem. They have a very wide network, and we're using that platform to sort of spread, I guess, our vision and goal for cryptocurrency adoption.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be real. I mean, Binance is a platform where people can speculate on in terms of digital currencies. But part of CC's ethos has always been it's not just that he wanted to build an ecosystem out, and part of that ecosystem is about adoption. So this thing has to go beyond just speculation. It needs to be put into real world use cases, and hence why he has come in as an investor to help spread adoption of digital currencies in that space. So I just want to be clear that on our platform, we try to be agnostic as possible. We enable payments in Bitcoin just because that's what the market wants. Most people pay in Bitcoin. That's the reality. It's a very small market. Most people, not a lot of people pay with cryptocurrencies, but those that do, by far the majority pay in Bitcoin. But we also enable BNB. We enable, and we've seen a huge growth of people using BNB. Because as you know, in the Binance ecosystem, a lot of people are paid in BNB. A lot of my staff choose to take payments in BNB as well. So there is an ecosystem of people getting paid in BNB and using BNB. Same thing with Bitcoin Cash. So we enable Bitcoin Cash. We enable Litecoin as well. So we try to stay agnostic, but the reality is the most stable platform and the most used platform is probably blockchain is probably the Bitcoin blockchain.
Right. And also on that note, Caleb, I noticed that in your stats, which you provide on your website, it's very clear in terms of the breakdown of the different digital assets that are used on your platform. So that's great for those who want to know more about, which tend to be more used in, I guess, in travel and the use cases you offer. But I wanted to move back to the tech just for a moment, just briefly, and ask you about some of the issues of throughput and latency when you're trying to establish a business on top of tech. Does it ever come as an issue with regard to, for example, waiting times, when you're trying to purchase and make a booking on your platform? Does any of those things come up because you're espousing the use of blockchain?
Okay, so maybe I can clarify to the audience how we use blockchain technology on our platform. First, we accept payments in Bitcoin. You can pay us in Bitcoin and book your flights and accommodation anywhere in the world, not just Australia, but you can book any flight you want with millions of flights around the world. We're very competitively priced. You can get anything on Expedia, in terms of accommodation on our platform. So we allow people to pay with Bitcoin and a few other different digital currencies. But on top of that, we also realize there's a whole bunch of people who don't have Bitcoin or digital currencies, and we want to onboard those people in. And so we allow people to pay with their Visa and MasterCard and earn rewards in Bitcoin. So that's the two main things that we do. And so in terms of the technology, we enable actual on-chain transactions. So in terms of the speed, it's not a problem because we wait for a certain number of confirmations before we issue out flights and accommodation. Because we are a travel agency, we control the tickets, we control the hotel bookings for you. So we're very comfortable taking payments in Bitcoin native.
Got it. And that's really good to know that fundamentally, really, you're really about providing the service. You're a service model, essentially, in a business. And you're trying to obviously educate people about the benefits of these currencies by rewarding them. So can you talk us through walk us through the rewards program? Because you have a very detailed one. It goes from titanium down in a tiered structure. So what incentivizes people to participate in TravelbyBit?
Right. So a lot of rewards programs are for flights and accommodations. You get rewards which are like frequent flyer points. If you travel enough, maybe that's worth something. If you don't travel enough, you get a whole bunch of it, but you don't use it, and probably it fades away and means nothing. So we've decided to reward people with Bitcoin, which is a real reward system. It actually has monetary value. So it makes it simple for people who don't understand Bitcoin. So if you have friends who don't understand Bitcoin, but they want to get a little bit of Bitcoin, but they don't really want to buy Bitcoin, they can book on our platform and get a little bit of free Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say it's free is this: we're actually using it as, I guess you could say, a win-win advertising mechanism. So in a sense, as a travel agent, we make money from the airlines and the hotels. We choose to take and give back some of that margin that we make back to consumers in the form of Bitcoin.
Got it. So you actually make money currently because obviously you charge those other entities and companies fees. So how are the books looking in terms of the revenue that you're generating now?
Yeah, well, like any startup, we're trying to get to a space that we grow our revenue. The margins in the airline industry is are very thin. I'll be honest about that. So we're not. It's not all about the money. Not trying. When I started this business, this has always been not about trying to make a traditional business. It's about trying to spread adoption, because I truly believe digital currency is important for the future freedom and the democracy for society and how it evolves. So first and foremost, our vision is to promote adoption of cryptocurrency. We need to make money as any business to be sustainable, but that's not our primary goal.
I see.
So in a sense, just to give you an understanding, whatever you find on airline sites like Qantas or Jetstar or whatnot, as a travel agent, we get those flights cheaper. And so we then make a margin because we get those flights cheaper, and we can sell it to you at the same price that you would buy on the Qantas website. But on top of that, we can give you some rewards in Bitcoin. You can get
so rewards, so you can get very competitive as well. So in that sense, mate, even if people are just looking at it from the mainstream sort of perspective, you're equally as competitive as anyone else out there when it comes to trying to make a booking for travel.
True. I would say 90% of the time, yes. Because the reality of it is there are many different models, and this is getting into the detail. There's a lot of different models of how travel businesses make money. Some travel websites sell at a loss, sell product at flights and accommodation at a loss, and they hope that you make a change. And when you make a change, they charge you double. Then they make the margin from the change fee. For us, we try to make it very fair. We charge you the normal rate, and then we share with you some of the margins that we get back from Qantas.
Right. Now, one of the things I did want to ask you, because you are such a proponent of decentralized, essentially money, this new wave of money that's coming through via this tech, but you don't have Ethereum, for example, which is a prominent technology, smart contract platform. Some allege, it has other functionalities too, and are engaging in the ideas of money now, or store of value at the least. So in that sense, why not Ethereum? Why not include and expand the base options for more currencies?
Well, on our point of sale system, we do enable Ethereum. On our travel booking platform, you gotta understand that we only released that platform 2-3 months ago, and so we are adding more coins. So it's not to say that we're restricting Ethereum out on purpose. We want to add. At the end of the day, we provide, really, people should be free to pay anyhow they want to pay, right? Whether it be Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatnot.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We prioritize the coins that has the most volume. For us, we know Bitcoin has the most volume. We know BNB because of our clientele pays a lot in BNB. And then after that, we're adding a few other I think Tether and a few other coins, Litecoin, because we work very closely with the Litecoin community as well. But we will enable other coins as we bring more communities on board.
Sure. And on that note, you said something very interesting about Tether. I did want to ask you about stablecoins, because it does seem that a lot of people are utilizing stablecoins for various reasons, but one of them arguably would be to transfer value, whereby they don't have a lot of a loss, in the value itself, because there's no real sense of volatility in their mindset because it's pegged to fiat. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned also that Visa and MasterCard, other options are available. So in that sense, why stablecoin in the future, or why this other process or possibility of using fiat when neither of them really align with the decentralized sort of concept of moving away from fiat?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think people use Tether because it has that decentralized element. It's slightly unregulated. It's in the wild a little bit. So if your question is on why Tether versus Visa, or isn't it the same to just use Visa? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I do apologize, because you are right. There's a grey area with Tether. But if we talk about other stablecoins, for example, the majority of them have like a nuance to a fiat peg, whether that be the USD or something.
Yeah.
And then also,
they're regulated and they're captured.
Exactly. So I was just wondering why you're sort of moving in, allowing for that option.
I think stablecoins are really interesting, and I suspect this is why the governments are supporting cryptocurrency today, because some of the world governments are thinking this is a great way to export my national currency to another country. So some countries run very poorly, and they have issues with their national currency, and the locals don't trust their national currency. So you will see that the US dollar becomes the default for a lot of smaller countries which don't trust their own currency. So as soon as you get your paycheck in pesos, you might change that straight away to US dollar because your pesos is really, really unstable. So I think as this technology rolls out and people deal more and more with digital wallets, I think the idea of people in other countries with unstable national currencies dealing directly and transferring digital US dollars around, or some digital stable coin around, I think that's a very interesting concept, and that's a really interesting use case.
It is certainly interesting. And what are your thoughts on those parties that suggest that Bitcoin is more functionally a store of value? Just for example, the other day I was listening to some influencers speak about how they deemed or sort of colored Bitcoin, and their argument was they would never spend it. They value it too highly to engage in spending their Bitcoin when they can go and use Bitcoin Cash or something like that. What are your thoughts on that when you're A, rewarding people in Bitcoin, and B, really trying to encourage people to have the confidence to spend it?
Look, Bitcoin is different things to different people, and it's different things to different people at different times. If you got into Bitcoin when it was $5 and now it's 7,000 plus, you'll be spending your Bitcoin, right? If you didn't have any other source of income. If you just entered Bitcoin at say 10,000, you're not going to be spending your Bitcoin anytime soon because you're down 30%. So there's different people at different spectrums, and you might see Bitcoin as a store of value even though you bought it at $5. But if you've decided that you wanted to retire on your Bitcoin savings, you got to have to spend something. And so you might have enough to spend. So different people are different at different times. I suspect a lot of people who want to hold Bitcoin, probably it's not the time for them to spend Bitcoin. They might have other sources of income, or maybe they're just new into the ecosystem. But I think a lot of the old hands have been spending Bitcoin. That's how Bitcoin gets dispersed around.
Right, and mate, considering that there's also this fiat option, and obviously that makes it more seamless for those who want to use the old systems. What's great about what you're saying is that it does allow people to engage and experience cryptocurrency for the very first time because of your rewards program. So you're finding that to be quite powerful in that it's introducing new people into your company, and also opening up the conversation of crypto and applying that for more use cases.
I mean, I want to be real. I mean, we're a startup. We're experimenting with very different things, right? So the idea of getting rewarded in Bitcoin, it might. You tell me. Like, if I were to tell you, Brad, if you got friends and if they didn't want to get into crypto, but they wanted some free Bitcoin, would they use our travel website? And if that's attractive, maybe it'll take off. We don't know yet.
Mate, I can answer you. I can tell you that my mates would, because Aussies love travel, that. So if they're going to get something for free, they tend to want to even, at the very least, explore that option, I would think, just like you see with any other reward point systems or, loyalty models. So really, you're opening up, the conversation because of the reward.
True. But I'll be real as well in this other sense that, whenever you go on a website and people tell you, hey, there's free Bitcoin, what sort of alarm bells go off in your head?
Oh, I immediately think, why? What's the catch?
Yeah, what's the catch? Is this a scam, right? And so that's the reality of it. I mean, it's great that we're promoting something, rewards, that's something that's seen as a store of value and does grow in value, because Bitcoin is it's gone over, a few thousand X the last few years, right? So it's a great store of value in that sense that it's gone up that much. But at the same time, it's also perceived by the majority of people out there as a big fat scam, because there are a lot of scammers in Bitcoin.
Right, you make a good point.
Every day I hear of a new Bitcoin scam.
And also, we've seen the volatility of that, and we've seen that oscillate or yo-yo in terms of price, and that tends to be a pattern over time. But when we look at it over the period of a decade, there's been quite astounding growth of that particular asset. What's to come of it, none of us really know, but certainly you're advocating for it being not only a store of value, but a medium of exchange, and hopefully progress to a very certain unit of account in the future. But I wanted to ask you also about access, because, once again, harping back to your agenda, which is really to enable travel and offer, a broad suite of options, destinations and means of travel. How easy is it for me as to go and access information? Have you made it mobile friendly, all of the information, or do I have to go to a website? So that you increase your opportunity to, for people to experience TravelbyBit and what you offer.
I think because we're so small, not many people know what we do yet. That's the honest thing. So we're only just starting to talk to folks like you, which is really helpful that you've given us a platform to tell people a little bit about our story. So I mean, it's just about letting people know, hey, you can book on TravelbyBit, pay with your dirty fiat, and earn some Bitcoin. The other thing that we've just launched, I don't know what you've seen, but we've just launched with Binance a crypto Visa card as well. Because what we're hearing from people is sometimes making a Bitcoin transaction, you get very nervous when you book a flight and you want to pay in a certain time and you don't know where your cold storage, if you want to take it out from there, you get a little bit nervous and you don't like to make that kind of transactions in over a website. A retail website. So what we've discovered from users, so as a startup, we're always listening to users and hearing what they want. And so users have told us, why not come up with a crypto Visa card? Because I know it's not really decentralized in the form of payment. You're using a Visa network to pay, but at the back of it is you're tagging on crypto to it, and you can still do the crypto conversions around the back. And so maybe that's an easier soft step for most users. And I'm finding that, since we launched, we've had over 2,000 different people sign up on our crypto card scheme just in a matter of a week. And so that's something that we're trialing out as well. So
I see. And given that Christmas is around the corner, have you considered gift cards as well for others, who perhaps want to buy it for a friend or for a loved one, to encourage them to not only travel but also experience cryptocurrency if they're an advocate for this?
True. There's a lot of so when you mean that as in buy a gift card that gives people Bitcoin, is that what you're suggesting?
Well, a gift card, like you're talking about the Visa, for example. So have you thought about any means in which people can purchase something from TravelbyBit, whether that be even the Visa?
Okay. True. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Maybe we should explore that. I mean, we're only a small team. There's only 15 of us. We work we work over the weekends, and we're pumping out code and refining product nonstop. So we've only got limited things that we can do.
So how much is it going to... Sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
No, I was going to say the main product is our flight booking engine, and we've just released a crypto travel card, a crypto travel rewards card. So definitely check that out. I mean, go to our website and sign up for early edition of the card if you can. Okay,
mate. Now, on that note, just give us a quick rundown on the geography. How many countries, how many cities, how many hotels? So just a really brief rundown on just how vast your network is for travel.
Look, we're a travel agent. We're plugged into most of the airlines around the world. So it's millions of flights. We've probably got about over 500,000 properties around the world that you can book your accommodation with. And if you can't find any what you want on our online site, we have a concierge service where you can talk to us directly on Telegram, and we will find you what you want. As long as it's on Expedia, we have it.
Awesome. So, you really do help the clients as well by giving feedback if they need it. And how much is it going to cost us, in terms of fees, beyond making the booking? We talked about you being competitive, but do you disclose all of this in some way so people are aware of the costs?
Sure. I mean, like these days, everyone's comparing flights anyway. So you can compare whatever you see on our site to Qantas. You'll see most of it is very, very similar. And if for one reason, working with tech is hard. And if for one reason you felt like one of our products is a bit expensive, you can always contact us and we can price match anything you find from our airline site.
Oh, wow. So you're willing to price match. That's great. Now, in terms of Australia, just, obviously because you do have a lot of merchants here, how's everything going? What's the feedback like? Has everything been going smoothly, given that you are so early in this?
Well, to tell you the truth, people paying with crypto at brick and mortar stores, very, very few. I mean, the number of transactions only number in the hundreds or so a week. That's very, very low. But I mean, the intention of this was really around education, right? So we want to work with the social media influencers around the guys who are doing education with crypto to have their meetups around some of our merchants. That's really the main use case. This is not, well, I'm not building a point of sale platform system to compete with Visa, MasterCard. We don't put fees. At the end of the day, I do believe if we are successful on the point of sale system, we will be obsolete anyway because people will be paying peer to peer. We're almost just like the first step.
Right.
And so the transactions are low. And I wish that the community knows about this a bit more and use it a little bit more. I get a lot of volunteers telling me, let me help you find a new merchant. I have this excellent barbecue place down the road. I can sign them up to take Bitcoin. But my answer to that is we don't need more merchants. We need more users. And so you're right in the sense that a lot of people are new to this. They don't want it. They see Bitcoin more as a store of value, so they might not use it. And that's why we don't roll out hundreds and hundreds of merchants out there.
Not yet, Caleb. So really what you're saying is travel is the agenda for now. But as more people start to really take this on board, no pun intended, then later perhaps, that scenario of merchants and confidence in using it as currency may play out. But obviously we want to see more people using your platform so that they can travel and get rewards in doing so, especially when it's no different really in price or perhaps cheaper than many of the other competitors. I think that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you.
That's what we want to do. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to run on a model where it is cheaper to pay with crypto and that will get more people into crypto as well.
Yeah. So obviously, for Christmas time as well, a lot of people are thinking about traveling or perhaps after in the new year. So it's really a great time for you to really spread the narrative during this time when people want to hopefully jump on a plane or go on a hotel and experience the benefits of this. So hopefully that does increase.
TravelbyBit.com and make a flight booking. And if you find you can't find what you want or you have issues, please send us feedback on the customer support line. We're a startup. We are learning. We're improving our product. We really, really value people who give us feedback.
Exactly, mate. Now, say I'm already hooked into the system and I'm a big fan of it and I use it a lot. Now, if I want to move into something like platinum or titanium, what's the kind of benefits you offer as I rise up in those tiers to reward me for being so loyal?
Okay, so we have different loyalty tiers, and I guess the more you travel with us, the more that we can reward you because if you travel with us and we have a lot of, we've made some revenue that sort of sustains that already, we can give more and more of that back to you in Bitcoin. That's the philosophy.
I see.
It's a loyalty-based system. So if you bring your travel business to us, we make sure that we look after you in terms of rewarding you Bitcoin.
Got it. Now, you also establish price guarantees. You mentioned or alluded to them before. That gives us confidence as consumers and potential clients. What are some of the drawbacks, though, Caleb, and challenges you've had? Because you're very honest about those aspects too, as you move forward and the experience you've had so far.
I think that for the most part, the reality is people are very price sensitive when it comes to travel, and there's a lot of dodgy operators in the travel industry. So as you know, there's Thomas Cook that's gone down in the UK. There was BestJet, that people who book on BestJet, it was the cheapest prices, but those who booked before it went down are not getting their flights. So there's a lot of operators that undercut and can be seen to be a lot cheaper, because like I said, their model is different. They might sell cheaper, and then after that they charge you on the change fees or whatnot. And so being competitive in the travel space, it's a very hard thing to do. That's why the price match thing is something that we do with airlines. We can price match airline sites, that's so that, but we can't price match some of these dodgy operators, just so that everyone's clear about that.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So are there any other drawbacks you can think of, especially in the crypto side of things, when you've got this suite of crypto that people can now engage with? You've got the challenges of trust. For those who want to trust and make the switch into something that is arguably trustless by design, it's a big deal for people to make the switch. So how do you get them on board?
So it is difficult. I mean, for the most part, we appeal to people who share our values and who fundamentally know that privacy is an important thing, and cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is one of those things which I feel, unless you've done your research and you know that this is something that's important for how society develops in the future, and if you align with that, then I would say a lot of those guys will come and book with us. If you're looking for something that's just consumer driven on how I can make money quick, I think it's very hard to convert those guys.
It makes a lot of sense what you're saying, and clearly people should perhaps get educated about the reasoning behind this movement, because if they can understand that, they can really engage with more of this, looking at how they can spend it, how they can engage in the utilities.
True.
That's how I look at it.
And how they can use crypto businesses, because at the end of the day, crypto is a social movement. It's a belief system. It's something that's different. People who support us, a lot of them do it even though it might not be economical, because the truth is it's not convenient. It's that much easier to tap and pay with your Visa, MasterCard. You get bonus points when you pay with your Visa, MasterCard. But some people just choose to pay in Bitcoin because they believe in this. They believe in the decentralized movement. They know that it's important to support businesses that are being built on it. And if rather than just talk about it, because if you just talk about it and support it on Twitter, but you don't really use the stuff, you will find most of the businesses and the merchants that support crypto eventually will fade away. We've seen this in 2013 as well.
Well, let's talk about that, Caleb, because is it a worry of yours? Because obviously I sit on Twitter sometimes. Everyone knows that, or I'm trying to engage and work with companies, and I'm also trying to advocate for utility, absolutely. But do you think that a lot of the people, even in the crypto sphere, are lacking that proactive sort of action of just going out and just spending, really evidencing that? Because we see the likes of Roger Ver, for example, for his own agenda, showing people he's spending. But we still hear a lot of people saying, for the most part, they're wanting to hodl, or they're wanting to trade in their margin trading game. But what about actually using?
Well, that's why I said crypto is different for different people depending on what phase they're at. For us, that's why we enable our business two ways. We listen to the consumers and they say, look, I don't really want to hold my Bitcoin, but I love what you're doing because you're supporting the Bitcoin ecosystem. And then I tell them, you can pay with your dirty fiat. Now you can book with us and pay with Visa, MasterCard, and we give you a little bit of Bitcoin. So we try to open it up to both sides. So you can still support a crypto business and just earn rewards in Bitcoin rather than just pay with Bitcoin. It depends on which stage you are in Bitcoin, whether you have lots of crypto and you wanted to spend a particular crypto, or you didn't have crypto and you just wanted to support a movement and collect some crypto. So everyone's different.
Yeah, it's great. So you allow the spendthrift to engage in this space, but you also allow for the saver as well. Now, what about marketing? That's a tough one because we know in crypto it's so bloody expensive when it comes to paying influencers and even other means like articles and things like that, publications. So how are you managing to get your name out there beyond those like me who will do this for free? Is it tough to market your name and your brand?
Well, for the most part, it's not too tough. I mean, for us, we're very fortunate because we are plugged into the Binance ecosystem, right? So, like I said, CZ himself has a stake of the company, and whenever we are asked for marketing help, the Binance ecosystem comes to help. So I think being plugged into that Binance ecosystem is really, really useful. By far, they have the biggest user space. So I think we are really fortunate in that sense that we do get a voice in the community. I've been invited to quite a lot of conferences to speak, just for the fact that we are also unique in the travel space, because a lot of other projects there they're building complicated protocols. For us, we're really about just simple real world adoption, and so we are a little bit different. We do attract quite a lot of supporters on social media.
And mate, you are right. You don't not engaging all that complexity of layer one solutions or new blockchain platforms. But what is interesting is that perhaps your simplicity is your value, because you're all about being ready now to be applied, to be used, and let people engage in your platforms on your website, for example. And all those links will be down below for you. But what about your community? Because people say that this is the real driver, having a strong, really robust community to help you through in this space, particularly when so much is socially driven. Have you got strong community support?
We do, but I must say the crypto space is very fragmented. So it would be great to see the communities all come together and support each other a little bit more. There's a few things going on in the crypto space. I mean, you would be very aware yourself.
Tell us more, Caleb. Tell us more. I can tell you want to tell us.
I mean, there are, like you said, there are social media guys who are paid to promote, investments in different coins and tokens. For TravelbyBit, we don't have a token. And because of that, we don't have a stronger voice as people trying to promote us. Because when you have a token, a lot of people are vested to promote you. Those that have bought into that token, right? Exactly. So you will find a lot of projects have a lot of vocal people because they want to show their bags. And that's fine. We don't have that benefit. We rely more on those who truly believe in digital currency bringing freedom of transactions and the freedom to travel and the freedom of payment. What I mean by that, and I'll go into a little bit of detail into this. Okay. I went to China recently, and these days in China, everything is paid on QR codes with a phone. And no one carries cash very much anymore. Everything is paid with your Alipay or WeChat Pay. Coupled with this is in a lot of cities in China now, they have all these video cameras, and everyone's being recorded and tracked. And so you've had a surveillance system. What they've done is they've had a surveillance system into their payment system, into their apps. So you've got these super apps that you do your social media texting, and then you do your payments, and you're also being monitored around these major cities. So what this has accumulated in is there are some people now, I think quite a few instances, a few million cases now have been recorded where people who talk bad about the government on social media, when they go to book their train and flight tickets, they're banned. They're banned from leaving the city, because then they can't go to other states
Wow.
to share their stories, right?
So essentially, it's permeated into the monetary system. The surveillance is so serious that now, as you said, because it's all cashless, I mean, that's a really scary scenario for many of us, you know, in the West, for example, who really have the freedoms of the democracy that we know and love. But in China, for example, how are you going to change this with your platform? I'm assuming that you can't permeate that because they're so rigid. They're so pro-blockchain but anti-crypto right now. So are you really outside of China, you know, everywhere else but there because of this problem?
No. I mean, we enable flight bookings anywhere around the world. I just want to stress. So you can book your domestic flights within China with us.
Right.
And you don't have to go through their closed-loop Alipay WeChat system. So someone who doesn't have that social scoring thing could technically book through us, because we
allow how you're going. So you allow even the Chinese, you know, guy who's, you know, visiting his auntie in Australia to essentially trial something new to get home, that without having to go through the processes of, you know, the national requirement of monetary surveillance.
That's right. I mean, and this will be really important for the rest of the world. I'm not just picking on China. The truth is, this facial recognition technology is already being rolled out in Australia and a lot of developing countries. In the developed countries. If you go to Canberra Airport, all your faces are being tracked. They know what you're doing any point of time. And I think it's only a matter of time they'll roll it out to the main streets, and they'll roll it out everywhere. So I do believe also payment apps will come in that will be based on closed loop systems, not open blockchain systems like on which digital currencies are run on. I think there'll be very soon. I mean, we have tap and pay with Visa, but we're going to be evolving into Venmos and what other payment apps that's going to happen. And I can see, I mean, technology changes very fast. In a couple of years, we've had the internet and all that. In a couple of years, you will see that we will end up a little bit like China. In terms of all the payments and the surveillance could happen potentially on a phone. So the question is, do we want to build some of this infrastructure on open blockchain technology like Bitcoin, where the money cannot be stopped, anyone can make a Bitcoin transfer? Or do you want to build it in closed loop banking systems where once you link monitoring and payments together, you really have a digital dictatorship going on?
You make a really good point there, and also the money itself is by the people, essentially, having started by an anonymous figure known as Satoshi, very distributed, very decentralized. People's money is what you're suggesting. You know, people should engage with, as opposed to top down fiat, which is a money by decree.
And I'm not suggesting this is going to run the world's economy. I don't think Bitcoin's going to do that. I actually believe Bitcoin's more of a lifeboat for people who need it, right? So not all of us have to be transacting in Bitcoin, but we all should make sure the lifeboat is there if we need it. And so having a decentralized currency, no country controls Bitcoin, no company owns Bitcoin. And so having Bitcoin as a form of payment everywhere, for those who need it, I think that's very important for liberty and freedom around the world.
Fingers crossed the technology continues to really develop. I mean, I know you're following along with Lightning. There's certainly a long way to go for that to be a global force when it comes to a technologically supported money. What are your thoughts on that? What are you seeing as you start to see these sidechain experimentations emerge as well to become the kind of sound money you want it to be?
I think Lightning is really fascinating technology. I mean, I've seen some really, really interesting use cases already. I've seen companies who transfer money to workers in the Philippines and whatnot who don't have access to bank accounts. That's what everyone talks about with all the ICOs and actual different currencies out there. But I've only seen this ever done on the Lightning Network. I know of startups who encourage people to download Lightning wallets, and they pay them with microtransactions with Bitcoin over the Lightning Network.
Right. We've also seen the likes of this.
I work with I know this because I work with Living Room of Satoshi, and they run Wallet of Satoshi, which is an awesome Lightning wallet. And their downloads have been growing. And I was talking to Daniel from Living Room of Satoshi, who's downloading all these wallets, and there's over 100,000 transactions now on Lightning, and we're going, who's making all these transactions? And it's only when I went to one of the Bitcoin conferences, and I realized there were a couple of startups who were downloading this wallet or encouraging their users in the Philippines to download this wallet, so they can pay them micro payments to do little menial tasks like what you do on Mechanical Turk on Amazon, right? So little tasks to help improve AI and all that, which can be done like click, recognize whether that's a dog, click, 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 earn some money, and we can send you a microtransaction in Bitcoin over the Lightning Network.
It's really exciting to see how a lot of the big companies are starting to utilize blockchain tokens or some sort of reward systems to incentivize in new ways. Even Microsoft with their Azure programs, they're trying to do these kinds of things. So it's looking bright in terms of experimentation at the least. We obviously still want to see a lot more technological development for it to have significant global success and be seamless and easy, in terms of transactions. But we've still got a long way to go. What about equity with regard to you being a company? I want you to just understand registrations, companies, because as you know, Caleb, sometimes we talk to companies that you wonder where they're registered, the Seychelles or Malta or some sort of obscure island somewhere in the world. What about you in your transparency? Is it easy for someone to know exactly?
Yeah, we're an Australian company. So we're registered here. We're registered as an Australian travel agent under the ATES registration. So we have our regulation. We have rules and regulations we have to follow. We're also registered as a digital currency exchange under Austrac. So we report transactions as well. So let me be clear on my philosophy. I don't see Bitcoin as a form of tax evasion. I don't believe taxes are bad. The Roger Vers of the world will tell you taxation is a form of robbery. I don't believe that. I mean, I have kids. When they fall sick, I want to make sure there's a hospital there to treat them. And so I pay my fair share of taxes. And
I'm with you on that. I mean, we're Aussies. We pride ourselves on our healthcare system. Let's be real. And, I often have conversations with my children as we talk about things like Bitcoin, and they always say the same thing you're saying. And that is, Dad, we don't want to forego the kinds of services like the great roads and the great schools. We just don't. So, tax is not necessarily a bad word.
Yeah. And so Bitcoin's not about avoiding taxes. And Bitcoin's also not about money laundering, because money laundering, it's a bad thing. And so we do want to stop money laundering. And the truth is, most of the money laundering, as you see it, is the case of Westpac and all the other banks. Money laundering happens when through the banking system a fair bit, because the volume is just so much there. It doesn't make sense to try to launder your money over a network where it's completely transparent on a blockchain. So the one mistake that most people think is Bitcoin's private. It's really not. I would say Bitcoin allows for it allows for privacy, but it doesn't allow for secrecy. So it's private in the sense there's no account name, but if you do a lot of dodgy transactions, smart law enforcement agencies can kind of trace you down.
It's really well said, because a lot of people don't realize it is a pseudonymous system. You do have a numerical system to be tracked.
Yep.
So you make a good point there, I think. And
so in terms of how we operate, we're really transparent. We're an Australian company. I'm a real person. We have an office down here in Brisbane. If you have issues with your flights and accommodation, just come find me.
Absolutely, mate. And also, even with regard to tax, because some people may come back and say, well, if you support tax, you may be supporting indirectly the fiat system. What people may not know is in Australia, for example, you can certainly take control of how you want to pay tax. As you know, you can decide to donate to charity. You can do whatever you want, essentially to try and reduce your taxable income in ways that, helps with goods and services that are valuable to you. Now, on that note, charity is something you support, as far as I know. So can you tell us a bit about that?
We're just about to go to press next week on this. So you get to hear this first. We're partnered up with Binance Charity Foundation to enable transparent donations on our travel platform. So if you book your flight, we make a transparent donation to a charity in Africa to buy kids lunches, and a few different charity projects there. I think if you're interested to find out more, definitely go onto the Binance charity website, see what they're doing. It's quite an amazing project. I mean, when I look into the detail of this, they're actually teaching people in Africa to download the Trust wallet, like a real full a crypto wallet, and the donation goes directly to families with this crypto wallet. There have been a few incidences where the families have, reinstalled their phone and they lost some of the crypto, but that's part of the learning process. But it's really amazing that they don't take any shortcuts, that they're actually getting families down there to download wallets and to pay for things in crypto down in Uganda. So,
very cool. As a teacher, that's music to my ears, knowing that people are actually being helped with textbooks, with education, and that's a very cool thing. Now, what about, with regard to you guys expanding, getting people obviously in different offices? Are you planning on doing anything like that, or is it just going to be stay a decentralized team at the moment?
Well, we're trying to grow the team. We've been trying to recruit good developers. Most of our tech stack is in JavaScript, so we're looking for good Node developers, good React developers. So I wouldn't say we're a decentralized team. Binance is decentralized, and we work with the Binance ecosystem. We're plugged into the Binance ecosystem. We get their guys to review our code. We get help from their marketing guys. CZ is always available for consultation and advice on strategic direction. But for the most part, the Brisbane team is very, very much centralized. We all work from one office.
Oh, you work from an office. Okay. So if I could go and visit you.
Yeah, you can come and visit us. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so what about the plans to expand beyond Brisbane, for example?
I guess it depends on how the business goes. Our business services people all around the world, so I wouldn't say we are a Brisbane business. The team is based in Brisbane, but really the truth is we service people all around the world.
Yeah, hopefully we see some franchises at least, mate, or more offices expanding around the world as you start to really showcase. Because if people can go to your travel agency, to the site, like we see with all other travel agencies, more and more people are going to ask the question, what's crypto, when they sit down to make the booking. So can you also go into, as you talked about this office, are you thinking about some retail outlets as well, where people can go in, sit down, make bookings, with the team, as they start to think about their travel needs?
I think the movement of the travel industry, this is a good question, because you've seen Thomas Cook go under in the UK, and they have a lot of physical stores. Right. The reality is the kayaks, the Skyscanners, the hotel combines, the booking.coms, the Airbnbs are changing the travel landscape. And Flight Centre, who has a lot of physical stores, are one of those businesses in trouble, trying to move away from physical stores and have a stronger online digital presence.
I see.
So to answer your question, no, I don't think we're going to open physical stores, because I think that's the opposite direction of where the travel and online industry is going.
Got it, mate. Now, just one final question. Firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to you for coming on and letting us know all about what you're doing at TravelbyBit. But, mate, it's Christmas time almost. Yeah. You have a 12 days of Christmas promotion coming on. Without trying to shill you, I'm going to shill you. What is the promo? What are you actually doing to try and get people on board before Christmas time when it comes to travel?
And I'll be real with you. That this is where we are decentralized in some aspects.
Okay.
That's run by my marketing manager. I do believe we are giving out rewards in Bitcoin. I do believe we're also doing a promotion where we're giving extra charity donations out if people book with us. Apart from that, I don't know too much more.
Well, that's okay, mate, because you're busy. So I'll put all the information and links I can find down below. And obviously, this is free. So it's about people looking into this. The whole premise is travel, looking at hotels, flights, you name it, they've got it. It's no different really to any travel agency that's online right now, except that they do have rewards programs to, encourage people to, at the very least, experiment with the store of value, concept, and then perhaps they start to play and spend some of this for the use case of travel. So Caleb, thank you very much, mate, for founding this. And thank you so much for teaching us a bit more about how we can actually use cryptocurrency with things that we love to do. And travel is certainly, on the highest of agendas when it comes to fun and just being able to do something we all love and enjoy.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for having us.
No worries, mate. Take care.